That's politics. You win a few, you lose a lot.
Well, I'd rather be a normal geek than student body president any day. Humans!
No need to be a drama queen. We're gonna talk politics, but in a fun way. So anyways, if you're back in the channel, welcome back, and then I'm happy that you're socially engaged. And if not, my name is Luis. Nice to meet you. And then yes, that's right, I'm a human person and I'm not a troll baby doll. Anyways, by the clip you saw that we will be talking today about one of my favorite TV shows when I was a kid, and that is The Fairly Odd Parents. So in case that you are not familiar with The Fairly Odd Parents, here is what you need to know. Timmy is an average kid who no one understands. His mom, dad, and Vicky are always giving him commands. And this time, actually, we're going to go back to his school and then to see how he has been a little bit bullied because he's not the most popular kid. But then, into contrast, he wants to run for class president in order to defend those who are being bullied like himself. I'm really excited about this episode, so let's get into it.
Or purchasing food for the cafeteria. So there will be no lunch today. Enjoy your ballots.
Why is everybody cheering?
Wait for it. All we have is dessert and gruel. So we're declaring today Cake and Gruel Day. Life is sweet and so is lunch.
One side, student body president's coming through.
Forget it! We were here first! Co-President Chad, do you hear some non-student body president talking?
No, I don't, Co-President Tad, but I do know this. Student body presidents get first-in-line privileges.
Oh yeah? What about me, the common student? What do I get?
There are so many public officials that actually get elected and then they start abusing the office that they represent to, and then they just think that, for example, they can get in line and so on. But then this is actually a very bad representation. I think that you see also many politicians who are very honest that we're actually waiting for their turn, and this is a very good sign. I mean, the fact that you are elected doesn't make you better. It actually makes you a representative, which means that you are one of the people. And then Timmy here says, like, what about me? What about the common student? And actually the representative is nothing more than a common student as well, that just happened to have a little bit more of work because he has to represent. He doesn't mean that actually they are a little bit above anyone else.
They get to do anything they want. It's time somebody ran against them. Someone with vision, someone with ideals, someone with
Fairy godparents?
Exactly. Tad and Chad, I, Timmy Turner, am running against you for student body president.
It's actually very important with what he said. Actually, it's very, very necessary that whomever wants to start a social movement, a political movement, whomever wants to start a campaign, whether it's for an election or not, they have to have very clear on what do they want and why they're doing it. They have to have their own ideas, and then they have to have their vision. If you have any willingness to run for office or to do some social cause, you have to have very clear on why you're doing it, what your vision is, and what your ideas are.
What do you mean I can't wish myself student body president?
I tried to warn you. You can't wish yourself into winning a contest. It's against the rules. You have to win the old-fashioned way. Buy your way in.
That's actually very funny, but then it's actually a cool thing that even like in the magic world, you cannot just wish to become a representative, but then you actually have to do it on the old-fashioned way. And no, I'm not saying it as Cosmo is suggesting by buying it, but actually fighting for it. And then this is something that's a very good lesson as a kid, because it teaches you that you cannot wish just to be in a position of power, because representation and the office is actually not about the power. It's actually about the fact that in the process of campaigning, you start discovering that yes, you had an idea and you had a vision, but then you start understanding a little bit more what representation is, because you start getting engaged with the community, and then you have within yourself that learning that you are there to represent the people and not only because you just want to be someone. So it's actually very cool that that is in the code of the rules of magic.
I should write a big campaign speech for tomorrow.
Timmy, this is William Shakespeare. He's a writer. Maybe he can help.
Everyone in election?
No.
They're elected for 4 years, so they were elected when they were 4. That's crazy.
And now, Timmy Turner! Yay and verily? Oh, forget it! What's the matter with you kids? What kind of speeches? Every year you elect these guys, and then they use their power to bully you around.
No, they don't. Pipe down. Oh, okay.
Is that who should be representing you? They think we're the losers, and maybe we are, but then shouldn't you be represented by a loser? I'm Timmy Turner, and I want to be, or not to be,
Oh, I love that line.
that loser!
What an amazing thing Timmy just did here. Not only the reference of To Be or Not to Be by Shakespeare, but what he did was actually, he just dismissed the speech that Shakespeare wrote for him, and then he decided to say, you know what, let me go off script and let me tell you my truth story. And then he followed a very good structure, because it's what I was telling you. Actually, you start with understanding what your motivation is, which the motivation of Timmy was he was bullied, and then he started saying, let me connect my story, which is of being bullied, with your story, because you also are being bullied. So actually the story of self has become a story of us, and then it will turn into a story of now, and then it will actually help him hopefully to win the election. That's a very good structure for a political speech. Good job.
We're extending Cake Day, even for the less popular kids like you!
Hey, where's everybody?
Puking, probably. Food poisoning from Tad and Chad's cake. The only reason I'm here is because I'm frosting intolerant.
What about the election? If everyone's sick, who's gonna vote?
Polls are open!
I know who I'm voting for!
Who? Polls are closed. We must count the ballots. I mean ballot. And the winner is Timmy Turner! We swear you in tomorrow. Congrats!
That is not how elections are supposed to happen. Actually, if there is a problem with the election because everybody's sick because of the cake, or just like in Corona, because everybody is vulnerable to actually get, then actually it's the duty of the local offices and the ones who are organizing the election to accommodate the conditions and then to create more opportunities for everybody to vote. Democracy is not about the fact that you set a date and then whomever shows up, shows up. It's actually trying to engage as many people as you can. And then that is, especially with you working in the public administration, you have to make sure that your goal is always to have the most opportunities to actually people to go to vote. And then I keep saying it, if your strategy is vote suppression, is your strategy is to make it harder for people to vote, shame on you, because that only talks about your weaknesses and not about the fact that you trust that you can have a strong proposal to make people engage. That's why, for example, I support so much voting online in case of, like, for example, pre-election systems and so on, because it's all about bringing as many people as we can to the polls. It's not about suppressing voices.
Do you accept your responsibilities as student body president?
Piece of cake! And guess what? I've already picked my own secret service detail.
We have the package in our perimeter.
Affirmative. Protect the package at all costs. Over.
The presidential stall, sir.
I can't go with you watching me.
We can't stop watching until you go, sir.
And I pledge that organizations like the Future Flimmers will get their fair share of funding from student government. The Turner administration will not tolerate bias against the Stardust Empire.
Oh, how's our our little Mr. El Presidente.
Miserable. I do boring stuff all day, can't go to the bathroom by myself.
Hey, neither can I.
And now that Trixie wants to talk to me, we can't, because I get yanked away by my Secret Service.
Well, Timmy, nobody ever said being a leader was going to be easy.
I didn't want to be a leader, I just wanted to be president. I want out.
You have to be impeached. Yeah, you have to do something so bad the whole school wants you out.
So before we continue, but before we enter into this whole impeachment thing, one thing that actually is very true, and you see it many times, is that I keep saying that, you know, like it's all between, like, that we all have the capacity to actually run for office, to actually go and then do the change. But one has to be very aware that many times the life in office is not easy. We're subject many times of a lot of scrutiny. There is a lot of stress. There's a lot of people who expect to spend time with you. You have to do a lot of lobbying. You have to do a lot of mobilization. And then many times you end up in this frustration part, especially if you have a partner, if you have family, you will end up saying, oh my God, I am sorry with my partner, with my kids, that I cannot spend as much time as before with them, because many times politics is not a job from 9 to 5 as many jobs, but then it's a job that, you know, like consumes many times your weekends, consumes many times your evenings, because that's the time when you can meet up with people. So I understand totally this frustration, and that's very important that is highlighted. Still, it's not a bad thing, but then you just need to be very aware that if you want to enter into politics, social movements, and so on, that's a reality that many of us face.
Welcome to the Library Assistance Club, President Turner.
It can't be true.
It is true. President Timmy Turner likes books and periodicals.
Silence! Oh, you're ruined, Turner. Ruined. Timmy Turner, you stand accused of geekiness while in office. How do you plead?
Guilty. So what? I like books. I like math, too. And I'd join the Future Flimmers if I had a bad enough allergy. What are you gonna do about it? Impeach me?
That's a great idea. Impeach! Impeach!
All in favor?
Aye!
Turner is out. Tad and Chad are back in.
So this is the danger when actually you see that nobody participated in one day, and then turns out that everybody, when they were finally in school, they didn't like him after all, because that impeachment vote was very fast. Obviously, I'm not going to enter into the details or into this conspiracy theories of like what was the ruling about impeachment. It's just a school and it's a cartoon. I get it. But many times actually that happens, and that is the danger that I was talking about, of not engaging people in the election and trying to keep the lowers of participation low, because the fact that someone is in office doesn't mean that actually it's approved by all the population. And then you will see many times in democracies that only have a 60% of participation in an election, when there is a party that says, oh, I got the 50% of that 60%, which means that 30%, then they always make decisions on the fact that they say, oh, but then like half of the population is supporting us, which means that they always think that 50% that they got represents the 50% of the population instead of the 30% of the population, which is a little bit complicated, I hear myself. But what I'm trying to say is that it is very important to engage as many people, because the fact that we suppress the vote and then we have it more difficult for people to vote doesn't mean that actually is going to create grounds of legitimization for whomever is in office.
You stood up for us. Nobody ever stands up for us.
All's well that ends well.
I wrote that.
That's a very nice ending, and actually that happens many times. The people who you connect with, and maybe that they were never having that connection with anyone else, they will be super appreciative, and then they will be the best volunteers, supporters, or even part of your team. So I'm very happy for Timmy, even if he's terrified right now, that he actually found a group of people who appreciated the fact that he was genuine and that he approached them and engaged them. This was actually a very good episode. I really liked it. I really liked the story in general. It had some good things that now I remember it when I was 11 years old and then watching this. maybe made an impact on me. So maybe let's review on some of the lessons that I got from this whole experience. The first lesson that I want to emphasize is about actually understanding before you enter any political cause or any social cause what your motivation is, what your main values are, and what your ideas are, and what is your contribution. If you identify first not your wish to be in the front, but then why are you doing this, then actually you're more likely to be elected, because you're going to be fighting for something, and then having that motivation always that is not only about the satisfaction of your ego, but is also something that is very important for you. For Timmy, for example, was actually being bullied. In my experience, for example, the reason why I started joining political movements is actually because I saw my country destroyed, and then I do not want any country to pass or any person to pass through the experiences that I had of pain, just because populism won when I was a kid and I could not put on the fight. The second lesson that I think is very important is that once that we have that motivation identified, then we have to transform it into a narrative. Timmy did a very good job when he dismissed the speech of Shakespeare, and then he decided to go improv, and then he decided to say, hey, you know, let me just connect the story of myself with a story of us as a community. And that's very important, because that's a very big part of engagement. What he did was a very good thing, and then at the end we saw that that's not the reason why he won, but it was very important to understand that the moment that you connect your story with others, then that's the moment that you start making an impact, and then bringing the people, if not to vote for you, at least to support you, to actually be there as volunteers, to be part of your team. And that is extremely important. A lot of people you will meet, and then they will say, what does it matter? I just want to make some policies, I want to make some proposals, but they forget to actually tell their story. And this is very important, because the only thing that matters in politics and in social causes is engagement. And the engagement happens through storytelling. It's about the story of yourself, and then is how do you connect it and transform it into a story of us, valuable for the community who will support you.
You know, some people would find this style of delivering a report imaginative and deserving of reward. Unfortunately, I am not one of those people. You failed!
A mystery.
Overall, if I have to evaluate this episode, I have to say that it was an A+. This was a great episode. Very good on the Fairly Odd Parents. Yes, many funny, silly references, but there was a lot of education in this cartoon. I mean, you see that there was, for example, references about the presidents, there was references about Shakespeare, and then you start creating this curiosity on kids like me that, you know, maybe I was 11 years old and then I was being exposed to Shakespeare for the first time, and then you raised up that curiosity. But what do you think? Leave a comment on the comment section. Maybe suggest to me what is the next cartoon or show that I should be reacting to. Subscribe, hit the bell, and then share this with your friends, with your family, and then maybe we can create a better community so everybody can be socially engaged. Hope to see you next time. Bye.